How you doing? New World Order Survival Guy. Today I want to get into a very important topic of top survival skills. And I don't mean bug out supplies and stuff like that. Today I want to talk about something beyond that, something way more important, something way more efficient. And you get people that talk about this, but it seems by observing a lot of the interest of people that want to prepare for a survival situation, they're not grasping the ultimate way of preparedness. It is not about what you have in your bug out bag. It's not if you have the latest gadgets or whatnot. It goes beyond that. It's in here. And I want to go over some of the stuff, some of the skills absolutely necessary to survive. Otherwise, you will perish. If you don't have what I have on this list, and if you don't develop those, you are more than likely not going to make it. First and foremost, a survival situation, SHTS or F, that's when all hell is going to break loose. You can sit here and watch YouTube and blah, blah, blah. That's not going to mentally prepare you for the devastation that that's going to hit. Most people are not going to live through it mentally. So I want to get into a bunch of stuff, give or take 20 topics within the topic. I want to try to breeze through these kind of fast so I'm not here all day and I don't bore you to death. But like I was saying, it doesn't matter what's in your pack. You got to pack. This is your most important pack right here. Your mind, your brain. As well, let me start from number one, cardio. If you ain't physically fit or physically fit enough to carry you down the road to handle certain situations, because you talk about no electricity. What are you going to do for electricity? You're going to have to cut wood. Maybe if you have solar, but I'm talking about thinking through all aspects of true survival. You have a to-go pack or a get-home pack or whatever. You got a mob of people looking for people just like you. They see you, they already know what time it is. And for one, you have a pack on, so they're going to want to find out what's in that pack regardless. And they have gangs, they have mobs. They're going after people that perhaps have supplies that they could use and want. There's people out there that have no problem taking out people as it is. Well, that's gonna intensify by the millions in a SHTF situation. So, cardio. If you have to run, are you physically fit to run? Are you physically fit enough to fight if you had to? Are you physically fit enough to chop down wood, to hike some miles to get water, to get specific foods? Are you physically fit enough to hike up hills, to sleep on a not so soft ground instead of a mattress, and then wake up and do hard work all over again, and your life depends on it? It's going to wear you down. It's going to break you. It's super important to stretch every day. Super important to take care of your body today. Very important to exercise. I'm not telling you don't have to lift weights and stuff, but go for walks, go for hikes. Get your blood circulating through your muscles now. Drink plenty of water every day to keep that blood flowing. And that's what stretching does. It's a simple thing, but it gets blood rejuvenating through your body, into your muscles, and it helps you sleep better, helps you think better, helps you move better. I mean, it does miracles like that. Stretching is phenomenal. So is daily exercise of some sort. Keep active. So that's one. That cardio, absolutely necessary. Situation awareness and understanding enemies' capabilities. Now, situation awareness is sitting there, looking around, knowing what situation you're in around your vicinity or wherever you're intending on locating to. In a shit hits the fan scenario, there's going to be like lynch mobs. It's going to be like the purge. They're going to be going around robbing people, killing people for their stuff, whatever. You got to realize that situation. You got to have extreme street smarts and common sense before you decide to make a move. And you got to be able to think clearly and decisively. It's always important to plan your routes, to plan how you're going to get food, plan how you're going to get water. And it's very necessary to do most of this stuff before an SHTF situation even arises. So that is an extremely important thing to think about and plan and study the possible situations that might occur in that type of hostile environment. Because it's going to be real dangerous out there. And you got to really think clearly about your routes of getting to specific places safely as possible. And of course, you can't make a full distinction of that judgment call until the time comes, because you don't know where these pockets of pirates are going to be or whatever. So that brings me to navigation. It's very important to pre-plan where you might possibly go. Are you going to go to a buddy's house 20 miles down the road? Are you going to go up to a specific location, hidden location in a mountain, wherever? And if you are planning on bugging in, where are the locations of water? Where are you going to obtain food? Don't forget, there's going to be mobs out there, and you can act like you're commando all you want, but somebody wants something bad enough, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. That's why it's so important to stay low-key as possible and be in that gray man thought process. Defense. Not only the cardio aspect of it, but are you mentally prepared to fight and defend? Now, you can't be stupid about it, because you're not trying to jeopardize your family or whoever you got with you and stuff like that. That's why it's so crucial for intelligence to play a big part in preparedness. You have to learn at least basic, bare minimum basic combat skills. Practice some. Take a martial arts class, one that's worthy, not ones that are just too much dancing around. There's tons of mixed martial arts classes out there. They're not that expensive. You could get at least some of it down. You have to, because you will be in a combat situation in a SHTF time. So, self-defense, very important. And once again, mental stability. Nobody, or almost nobody, is truly mentally prepared. They only think they are. They only think they're mentally prepared for anything that comes at them. But whatever you're preparing for, and whoever's causing this SHTF is probably 10 steps ahead of our thinking of what it's going to be. Now, going back to situation awareness, understanding enemies' capabilities. What that means is, okay, you have a firearm, you have a knife, you have some pepper spray or whatever. Don't forget about capabilities that others may have that you didn't think about because you don't have that type of money to fiddle around with some of these devices, just like some of these high-tech drones. Now, like I said, enemies don't have to be other civilians on the street. It could be foreign military opposition. It could be cartels that have millions or billions of dollars to spend on high-tech, sophisticated weaponry and all types of stuff. Governments has Space Force. They have all this technology that can see through your house. They have technology to see everyone in your house and they could put something through your wall and take you out without you even knowing, thinking that you're safe inside your home. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying enemy capabilities that you have to take in consideration. You know, people have technology and they use it all the time. So you have to basically mentally prepare for the unthinkable. I know you can only do what you can do, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be stressful, and it's going to be tough, especially when they start using these types of devices against you. Like all this artificial intelligence equipment that they're coming out with, and all these sophisticated high-tech machinery, and it's going to be nuts. And you know they're going to use it. You just put it in the back of your head. But they're not warning you about this for nothing. So keep that in mind. Maybe you can start planning and researching this stuff, and finding out how you can deflect some of this technology. I mean, you have the infrared technology that can see things and stuff like that. There's ways of deflecting that FLIR system. You know, you have to be able to shield the heat from your body from those camera devices. There's all kinds. I mean, this is really like a lifetime type of thing, but these type of equipment are going to be used. They just want SHTF to happen and all these civilians take out each other, but the smarter ones are going to probably overcome a lot of these situations, but then the government and the world governments are going to wait till they thin out the herd, thin each other out. Then they're going to come in after the smart ones. The smart ones. Moving on, primitive skills. You get your shit tooken, you ain't going to have nothing. So everything you planned and hoped for and your bug out bag and everything is gone. What are you going to do? Very smart to study primitive skills. That includes the shelter, fire starting, hiding out, so you camouflage yourself, how to purify water naturally, not with the big Berkey filtration system, not with the mini Sawyer, not with the live straw, but naturally. You can easily filter with a little bit of work. You can filter water and purify it. Not just filter it, purify it. I mean, you have to filter it through the rocks, the pebbles, the sand, charcoal, just different layers of stuff. I'll do a show on that because I really like to show you guys how I do it. There's also some plants that help kill bacteria too that you put in with the layers. But then after all that, boil it. I mean, it really good water. You could even put like pine needles on the bottom of everything, and it'll leach in some vitamin C, so you can have somewhat of a nutritious drink and all this. But purifying water, you're gonna die if you don't get water. They say 3 days. If you're sitting doing nothing, you can probably stretch it out to 4, 5, maybe if you're doing nothing. But they say 3 days, but you could die of 1 or 2 days without no water in certain situations. You try hoofing it all day in Arizona hot desert in the middle of summer, let's see how long you're going to last. You're not really going to last, right? Because it's going to literally drain all the water out of your body. So, obtaining food. Obtaining food is an absolute necessity when it comes to prepping. And I don't mean collecting food, because like I said, anything can happen to that, and you got to know how to get it. Or at the very least, that food's going to run out, and you're going to be left with nothing, no skills, no nothing. That's why I highly encourage people, I've said this on many shows, to get books. Wild, edible books. Edible and medicinal books. And this is for the Rocky Mountain West. This is where I live. It's a big, thick book, colored pictures. This is in reference to 437 different types of plants for different types of things. Really good, informative book. Well worth it. You have to read these now, because you're not going to be able to carry all these books. Oh, I might have a whole table full of them. But studying this is really going to help. Get the books that are specific to your vicinity, for your area, not just close vicinity, but you might need to scatter outside your immediate vicinity, and you want to know what's around you, what plants are edible. I got more books. This is Wild Edible Plants of Colorado Plains and Urban Areas. Urban areas. So you can walk through your little town and the weeds and, all these different types of plants. Not just, the ones that you're typically used to hearing about, but all types. Do not forget about the urban area, because most of us live in urban areas, and it might be a time where you can't get outside the city right yet. So you want to learn about these different weeds that are super, super nutritious for you. Way more nutritious than anything you can buy in a grocery store. This is just little pamphlets. That's just under $5. Tons of little things, colored, laminated. You can stick these in your pack. There's a good reference packet. Here's another one for medicinal plants, for various types of things. You have to know what you're looking for, because for every thing that can save your life, there's a lookalike that can kill you or make you very, very sick. You have to know what you're doing with these edible plants, or with these plants that you're doomed to see edible. Another medicinal plants of the Western mountains, the Western mountain states. Medicinal plants. Thick book. You see, you can't carry all these with you. But if you want, you can make copies of, and then they have these in ebooks too. You can make copies. You can laminate them. You can put them in your survival pack if that's what you want to do. But my point of this show is that your survival pack is just basically extra. You know what I mean? You want to know how to survive without a survival pack. For me, sitting here verbally trying to explain to you some of this stuff. Another one, edible wild plants, mushrooms, fruits, and nuts. Edible medicinal plants of the Rockies. As far as water, like I said, I have this Prepper's Water Purification Survival Bible. It tells you a lot in here. It's not very thick. It's you can read it in the night. Get you some ideas. This is a cheap one, but there's a lot more very good literature for purifying water, because maybe some of you don't have access or the funds or anything to get into a little class, a survival class, or some of these individual subject type of classes. Some of them can get expensive. So that's why I always encourage people to join a survival group, a club, a preppers club, something, so everybody can share ideas and actually put hands on trying this stuff out. Because none of this reading stuff is really going to do any good unless you get out and visually see it, touch it, hands on, do it, eat it, so you know exactly what you're doing and exactly what you're looking for. Very important. And also specialty type books where it shows you how to fight diseases and infections with natural antibiotics and stuff like that you find around, because you're not going to have access to antibiotics or specific types of medication for certain types of diseases, right? So you want to be able to have some knowledge on to obtain some of these ingredients, natural ingredients, to go ahead and assist you in fighting some of these diseases and infections that you may encounter, especially infections. You know, then there's other things. You want to know how to like if you're allergic to bees, if you're you got to think about rattlesnakes, you got to think about ticks, you got to think about all this other stuff. You want to know, have knowledge of that previously before something happens, because when it does happen, when shit hits the fan, that happens, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. Knowledge is king. Practicing the knowledge is king. Dentist, if there's no dentist, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you get an abscess? You're going to die. That's what you're going to do. Unless you thought about that beforehand. And if you read up on some of these books that show what they do and how to treat yourself and others, then you're going to be a valuable asset to any prepper community or survivalist community. Yeah, because you're going to save the life of their loved one. You're going to know how to yank a tooth. You're going to know how to handle that nerve. You're going to know how to do all kinds of stuff if you study it. You ain't got to be a doctor or a dentist to do this stuff. There's specific steps to take to handle certain situations. They've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. How do you think the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Native Americans, the African tribes in Africa, just throughout history, no matter where, all over the world, they use natural things. And they didn't have technology. They didn't have high-tech machinery and stuff like that. They didn't have that. So, and they survived through thousands and thousands of years. How long do you think the United States civilization is going to last? The way it's going, it doesn't seem like it's going to last too long, does it? Moving on. You have your handheld radios. You know how to use it. I mean, thoroughly know how to use it. Like I have a Bofang ham radio. I'm still reading on this. So, but this is a Bofang radio Bible. So, this will tell you all the functions of the hand radio, and including talk about and gets into the we have to use a computer and download stuff in there, and once it's in there, it's in there. It's stocked. You don't need the internet or nothing for that. Just like if you get like a GPS thing and you download pre-installed apps or pre-installed maps, you know, it's in there. You ain't got to worry about the internet to put it up and look at it. So basically same concept with these types of books. You have gear. Be an expert on the gear that you have. Survival Medicine Handbook. Very good book. Very popular book. Very thick book. Has a shitload of pages. I have not read all of it. Probably like a quarter of it. I'm doing a lot of other stuff too. But I incorporate it into my life and read on it. Knowledge. You don't need to carry. You can just up here. That's all you need. That's the most important thing that you need. It's nice to have a pack with medical supplies, with food, with water purifying capabilities, fire starters. It's nice to have things to assist you so you ain't got to work so hard. And I agree, have that. But there might come a point in time where you're not going to have that no more. and could be a whole variable of different situations how that could dissipate your stash one reason or another. Like I told you before, the government, FEMA, has a law where they can come and legally take all your preps. It's law. I did a show on it quite a few months ago. Gave the statute and everything. They can come to your door and take everything. Your batteries, your water, your solar, your camping supplies, your food, anything and everything. Your containers, water containers. Just virtually anything. They can and will take it. It's just one of them sneaky bills that they passed by, and that was voted in, and it's officially the law now. So food, obtaining food. It is so smart to not only read these books, but to collect and buy seeds. Non-GMO seeds. I like to buy definitely non-GMO, non-hybrid seeds. Organic, heirloom. I that's about 99% of the seeds I buy is heirloom, because they have the most nutrition packed fruits and vegetables that there is. I do research and study, see which, like for tomatoes, I'll go and do lots of research on what's the most nutritious tomatoes, what's the most nutritious tomato plants that make the most abundance of tomatoes. I do that with peppers. I do that with everything. And I get varieties. I have literally like 60, 70 different varieties of tomatoes, all heirloom. All of them are non-GMO. I have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of seeds. They're all in Mylar bag with oxygen absorbers, moisture pack absorbers. They're all in a freezer. You know, there's steps to take to prolong the longevity of the seeds. Keep them in a dry, cool place, out of heat, and they're going to last for years to come. That's just, you have to have different means of food, especially when you're talking about long-time survival. Seeds. Seeds. Books. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to fish. You know how to catch fish? Do you know how to clean fish? You know how to hunt? Do you know how to dress a deer? And like I always say, hunting is not guaranteed. Fishing is not guaranteed, especially from everyone else in the world is hungry and they're going to have the same thing on their mind. The most common thing after that food runs out of their pantry, they're going to, people are going to go fishing. People are going to try to hunt small game. People try to hunt big game. What are you going to do? Everybody else is going to know that and do that. Even if they don't know how to dress a deer, they'll try. They don't care as long as they have the food. What'll set you apart from them is these books. They're going to sit there and starve to death while you're sitting there eating these edible plants, nutritious edible plants. They're going to be dying of thirst while you're purifying water naturally. Next, shelter. Building a shelter. Not only building a shelter, but like say it's cold, you can sleep on the ground, you're going to have whatever, say you don't have any gear. What do the Eskimos do? They built a freaking house out of ice and kept warm. You want to get branches. You want to get leaves, a bed of leaves. You want to get stuff that elevates you from the ground. You want to build a shelter that blocks the wind. You might want to have a thing where you can have basically a hot tent. There's many different things. And that's all primitive type stuff. But my point is you got to go out and practice it. You got to think like that. You got to have the knowledge and the skills to be able to do that. If, let's say, your tarp rips and you don't have no way of repairing it or something, you always want to prep mentally and build up your knowledge of doing stuff without any of the stuff that you're going to take in the pack. Same goes for weapons. You lose your knife. You run out of ammo. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you have no knife and no firearm? You're going to have to resort to primitive type defense strategies. You're going to have to know how to make one of them freaking David and Goliath slingshots. You're going to have to know how to, bow and arrow like the Indians. I mean, there's tons of stuff. You have to learn how to defend yourself. And it's all a mindset. And it's best to know beforehand. Because you'll probably die of hunger before you master some of these skills after it's already too late. Keeping warm, same thing that goes for that. There's many different aspects to that. I'm kind of dragging it. I'm going to pick it up a little bit. Another thing, learn how to swim. There's rivers, there's lakes you might have to cross. You might have to build some kind of makeshift raft or something and you fall in. You know how to swim. Do you know what to do if you're in a river and they have those eddies that drag you under the water? You have to know and practice and be a damn good swimmer. And them eddies, no matter how good of a swimmer you are, you're not going to make it. There's little tricks on what to do. And one of the biggest things when you're in a river is float on your back, keep your arms out, and keep your feet laying on your back above the water. That's one of the most important things that you could do without even a life vest on. Because those eddies will suck you under and you ain't coming back up. First aid. First aid. Very important. Take a first aid class or study up on it. You have to know first aid. You can't just have a medical kit and think that you're good. You have to know how to use this. You have to know how to prevent choking, how to stop choking for yourself and for someone else. A gunshot wound. Gunshot wounds are going to skyrocket when shit hits the fan. You got to know how to treat snake bites, rashes, poison oak, poison ivy. The list goes on and on. You get impaled by a stick. You got to know how to treat that. You have to know how to clean it. And it goes back to infection. What are you going to do for infection? What are you going to do for toothache, abscess, any of that stuff? You get something in your eye. Everybody knows that is a bad one. You take something gets in your eye, something happens to it in your eye. you're done. You're done. If you eat the wrong thing and you get diarrhea or something, how are you going to fix that? How are you going to accommodate that? There's so many things that can happen. And a medical bag is not going to be enough. Knowledge is going to help tremendously. Knowledge of what to do in certain situations is going to help. There's a lot of natural things out there that you can use to assist and help you. Or at the least, you can build some of this knowledge and get some of these items that will help defend whatever issue you're running, medical issue you can possibly run into, and stack your medical bag accordingly to a lot of these main issues. So there's just a whole lot of thought process that goes into this. Navigation, know how to go, know where not to go. In certain situations, you may want to stay away from high traffic areas. Sometimes you might want that to blend in the grain mat. It all depends. But to know beforehand, okay, I need to go over here to this city, blah, blah. You know the routes, different routes. You know what roads are less traveled. You know where these railroads go. That's one of the greatest navigation trails right there. You know, these railroad maps, if you need to go far, obviously, and it's not necessarily you're gonna walk on the railroad tracks. You're gonna walk like 100 yards or whatever off to the side of it and follow it that way, so you ain't gonna be an obvious target. So navigation, know how to use a compass, know how to read maps, whatever you're using for navigation, but just know your surroundings, know your areas, know how to disperse to where you need to go. And you should be making that plan. If you're going to head out somewhere, you should be making that plan of all the routes and everything way before. If it's a spur of the moment that, oh shit, I got to get the hell out of here, then that's a different story. But it'd be nice to have some of that knowledge and or compass, maps, something. You can go to like Parks and Wildlife and stuff like that, and they give out free maps. They have tons of free maps for the vicinity, especially when it comes to like mountainous terrains and stuff like that. Yeah, they're free. So you might want to check into that. I already said practice skills, practice fire. Yes, you have a ladder. Yes, you have ferro rod. Yes, you have magnesium stick. Practice with the bow. Yep, that's right. Primitive style, man. Flint rock, whatever. Because like I said, you might be compromised on some of your stuff that you have. You never know. So understanding and recognizing situations. Understand and recognize that you are not an expert in the preps that you carry. Understand that. It's not going to be as easy as these shows make it out to be. It's really not. Understand and recognize that your mentality is going to completely change. Yours and mine. You or I don't know what that's like because we haven't been in that situation. But I can tell you, and you can only imagine, it's going to change. It'll make complete law-abiding citizens do the most heinous things to get what they need to take care of their family. The most honest man is going to steal your shit to feed his family. That's why they say desperate times comes for desperate measures. Calls for desperate measures. Understand that your next door neighbor, your cool next door neighbor, be a day down the road where he's, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, but I need to feed my, You never know, man. I mean, so you got to understand that. You got to know that. And you got to prepare for that. And if you're in a whole neighborhood like that, it might not be a good idea to stick around. Because if you only told your buddy next door, but maybe by mistake or whatever, and shit did hit the fan and you're bugging in, and he knows that you have shit, he ain't going to want to try to go over your house and get it himself, so he's going to go tell a handful of other buddies that maybe have firearms or something, and they're going to go, oh yeah, well, they're going to plot and plan to come take what you got. Dead or alive. Like I said, join groups, join clubs, learn hands-on. It's fun. You learn a lot. And you possibly meet great people and get great ideas. They have them everywhere. So, I mean, you can start checking online and stuff like that. If that's not really your thing, like I'm not too sure I would want to do that because, I'm not the peopleist of person. So, that's just an option. Take classes, read books, and don't forget, when you think of something as a prepper, as a possible survivalist for shit hits the fan, you're making these plans. You're making these plans to go out into the mountains. You're making your plans of just doing this or doing this and doing that. Well, when you talk about everybody, millions and millions, like almost 400 million people in the United States are going to be in the same boat. They're going to be making plans too. And every single one of them is not going to be different plans. They're going to be about the same. So you're planning on going to the mountains. So is 70% or 50% or whatever, 30% maybe, of the people in your vicinity are planning on doing that same shit. You're planning on bugging in. Well, there's other people that ain't got no money that know shit's coming. They're not planning on bugging in. They're planning on breaking in people's houses that are preppers like you and me. They've been, government and world government's been making people broke for a long time, and people get more and more broke every day. So you got to think about that. And there's some smart enough people out there that know what's going on in this world, that knows what these governments are doing to us, and know the inflation and know all this crap. They ain't got no means to purchasing things. So they're going to be plotting on taking shit and hurting people to get what they need. Point of the show: you have to obtain skills and knowledge. It's the most important aspect of preparedness and survival. It doesn't matter what you got in your pantry. It doesn't matter what you got in your bug out bag or your bug home bag or survival kit. It doesn't matter. Those things help. But the most important things is what you have right here, because nobody could take that away from you unless they take your life. But nobody could take that away from you. It carries no weight. Actually, you lose weight. You lose weight because you lose the weight off your shoulders of stressing of how you're going to purify this water, how you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, how you're going to fix gunshot wound in your arm or whatever. It lifts the weight off your shoulders by knowing that you have that. And you are a very valuable asset to survival groups and shit like that. The more you learn, the more you know, the more you'll be accepted and wanted. And, you know, and you can even get your life spared in certain situations. Think about that. It's not what you have in your bag. It's what you have upstairs. That's all I got for you today. Please like, share, subscribe. You have any comments, thoughts? Drop them in the comment section below. You know, if you got some good ideas or something like that. I know you always get some kind of know-it-alls in there that, oh, yeah. You have some good, viable ideas, please. I would like, because I'm still learning too. Even though I've been doing this for 20-something years, you can always learn. And I still have lots to learn. So, yeah. Please like, share, subscribe. New World Order Survival Guy. Have a good night. Catch you on the next one.